Among the headlines this week from Indianapolis, Governor Mike Braun joined hundreds at a State House property tax reform rally on Monday. That same day, the House approved a Senate resolution calling for a convention to amend congressional term limits into the United States Constitution. In the Senate, the Judiciary Committee is considering a House bill to appoint additional magistrates to improve the efficiency of Elkhart County's court system. And the Appropriations Committee is taking up a House bill that would relieve child care licensing restrictions and increase accessibility for Hoosier families. The House legislators connected to these measures are with us tonight to talk about their bills and to answer your questions right here on Primetime. And good evening, I'm Bruce Haines. With us tonight, our 49th District Republican State Representative and Deputy Speaker Pro Tem, Joanna King, and 85th District Republican State Representative Dave Heine. And we invite you to join our conversation as well. Just use the number you see on the screen. Give us a call with your questions and comments throughout our live program here. And there is Representative Heine, Representative King, Dave, Joanna. Thank you both for being here.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thanks for having us.
Sure. So there are property tax proposals from the governor's office, from the Senate Republicans, from the chair of the House Ways and Means Committee, Jeff Thompson, had a few ideas. What's your understanding for both of you where we are now with property tax reform this year?
Well, you got an hour? How long we have to talk about this? Yes, everyone has an opinion, and 2 weeks ago, Ways and Means, we met and took testimony from 144 people, and that testimony took 9 hours, so we got done at 19 after 10 on a Wednesday night. You know, it's interesting, 144 people testified, only one was a taxpayer, him and his wife. The rest were lobbyists, and everyone's afraid that we're going to move, you know, their cheese is going to get moved. And so they're all trying to protect their home turf. But we do have a plan, and we'll be working with the Senate this week to get everybody on the same page. But the intent is not to hurt our schools, not to hurt local units of government, but the intent is to use the money for good reasons. And right now, and I'll just give you an example, township government. Across the state of Indiana, $300 million, you heard that right, $300 million is just sitting there, not being used. There's no reason why there's $300 million, and we have to do something because those are our tax dollars. Those are your tax dollars. Those are everybody watching this show. It's their tax dollars. We got to make sure we use those tax dollars to the best of our ability. Yeah. So we're working on that, and it's tough.
Joanna, what's your sense so far?
Well, I don't serve on Ways and Means, but I listened to a good part of the testimony as it was taking place on my drive home. And you know, it's one of those things that we need to take a very careful approach to it. It's not the time to take a sledgehammer or an axe to it. It's a very, very methodical process, and making sure we don't make moves that have unintended consequences. This is really about local governance and what is happening in the local counties and making sure that they have the revenue, that they can provide the services, fire services, library services, and there's so many services that we want to make sure that those dollars are spent well. I will say that the property tax, we do need to change how we've been taking a look at property tax, and this is the year that we're going to give our best shot at doing that, and there are a lot of people that have weighed in on it. This is the week, as Representative Heine said, this is the week that we really sit down, Ways and Means, with appropriations to really make sure that we are doing what is the very best for taxpayers. These are their dollars, and we represent them. And so this is the week that we'll be spending have a lot of conversations around that.
Yeah. To borrow a basketball metaphor, there is still time on the clock, but when the buzzer sounds, do you think we'll have something?
We will have something. And but I want to make sure everybody's aware, that we're all going to be getting our tax bills this coming, couple weeks now. We can't do anything to change the tax bill that you're going to be getting in the mail couple weeks. But what we will be able to do is change your tax bill next year, the following years, and down the road. And it's going to be it'll take us 3 years to implement the changes that we have on the drawing board. So I'm looking forward to it.
Got it. Well, speaking of tax, slightly good news, it seems. The general fund revenues for February, that report came in, it looked like nearly an 8% increase above the estimate from December. And just under 18% above revenue from February from a year ago. So anything in that report encouraging to you as work continues on the budget front?
Well, for me, it's very encouraging because when we did our budget back in January in Ways and Means, we were using the December forecast. So we were using a bare bones, we were using, by law, we have to have a balanced budget. So we had to use a forecast that we could get our budget work done. And I mean, it was tough. But now that budget is over in the Senate's hands. They're working their magic on it. But then April 15th, I believe, we'll get the April forecast, and things do look like they're trending positively. And then we'll be able to add some things and hopefully make more people happy.
Yeah, please.
Well, and I was just going to say, now's the time for me to lobby my friend in Ways and Means. One of the bills that I got through unanimously in the House, for example, was a breast cancer research bill. But because of funding, it's something that we just can't fund at this time. I do know that language is over in the Senate now, and hopefully we'll get that stuck in, because it is one of the bills that I've carried that I've had so much support in the hallway, so much support with other legislators and people that were just down visiting at the State House saying we really need to get that funded. So my hope is that some of the bills that we early on said, we're going to put a pause on this right now, which was the right thing to do. But now we have maybe an opportunity to fund some of those projects that I think are really going to be impactful for Hoosiers. And that's my hope, that some of those will get through here in the last couple weeks.
And it's hard to say no to her.
The hallway gets smaller when the conversations happen. And I'm looking at some of the dates on the calendar. I think the Senate has to come forward by the 10th. You mentioned the revenue report by April 15th. And then more give and take in conference.
April 24th, hopefully, will be sine die. So we'd love to have everything all said and done on April 24th.
Right. Now, on the money front, good news for both of your districts and others as well. Word coming out about the Indiana Community Crossings Matching Grant Program. 245 Indiana communities sharing $200 million in state matching funds. It had to be a nice day in the neighborhood to share that information with your constituents.
Yeah, my community of New Haven, $1.1 million, so that's good. But the best thing about that is we do have our road funding bill passed the House, and now it's in the Senate. And on Tuesday, hopefully they'll vote that out of committee and then go to the full Senate. But it is really going to give us the dollars to have for us to go forward, and it will improve the community crossing grants, so it'll be better for the communities. But also there'll be dollars, and hopefully, you've heard me talk about US 30 a lot, but hopefully there'll be dollars so we can get that to be a freeway.
Mm-hmm. And Middlebury, Millersburg, Elkhart County, they're smiling.
Community crossings has been really helpful for our communities. I know Goshen, Middlebury, as you said, Millersburg, they have all benefited from this program. And, it makes the livability in our communities so much better. We've got to have good roads and our local communities for them to be able to make that happen. This is a great program. This matching program has been really transformational. We need to keep it going and make sure we continue to fund it as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, one of the roads on the radar is the US 30. And the hope of that national road to find its way into being described as a freeway from the Indiana-Ohio line, at least all the way up to Valparaiso. This has been exciting, a lot of committee meetings. Dave, what can you tell us about where we are in this one?
Well, been working on it for 8 years, and we do have it. You know, you look at roads across Indiana, and they have to be, number one, you look at them based on safety. You know, we want to make sure that our roads are safe for our constituents and for the people of Indiana. But number two, it's so important that we have good roads for infrastructure so that we can have economic development. And here in Northeast Indiana, if we have I-69, but if we had a US 30 be a freeway, it would be so helpful for Michelin out in Woodburn, Indiana. They have to use US 30 to take their finished products to their warehouse in Chicago. And they can't get their trucks competitively to ship their trucks. And they're in a world market. Steel Dynamics, to ship west, they have to use US 30. And again, to get trucking companies to come in and haul their goods, it's tough. And then you go to Warsaw, Indiana, you have the bio people, medical people. They need good roads to ship their products around the world. So very, very important that we get the monies, and this funding bill will do that we have the dollars to make US 30 a freeway. We've talked to Governor Braun, we've talked to the new Secretary of NDOT, and everybody's on board. So now we just have to make it happen.
Like the matching funds for your road programs in your communities, what kind of a match, if any, is involved in an undertaking like US 30?
This is Dave's specialty, but one thing I do want to say is US 30 is one of the roads that connects the East Coast to the West Coast. It's a very important road, and when you talk about being a thoroughfare going through Indiana that connects both of ends of our country, it's a very important road. In Pennsylvania, as you know, it's the Lincoln Highway. It's been a very important part in other states, and it's important that we get it ramped up to the ability to be able to do all the trucking services that we need to have. Indiana is the crossroads of America. We're going to continue to be that, and one of the things that we need to do is make sure that the infrastructure we have provides for the movement of goods and services throughout our nation, and Route 30 is absolutely critical in that.
But we also need to remember that everyone else has roads in Indiana. Everybody wants to have a US 30 and that needs done in their particular geography. So we are competing with the rest of the state, and that's why you have to have the ear of the governor, you have to have the ear of NDOT, and you have to show them a plan, and we have that plan.
Look forward to following that as we go along and see how the ripple effect of that activity plays out. As we are in Primetime tonight with Representatives Dave Heine and Joanna King, and we invite you to join us if you'd like to do so. You see the number on the screen. Joanna, you co-authored legislation that's going to bring some additional magistrates to Elkhart County's court system. Tell us more about this bill. It's now in, I think, the Senate Judiciary?
That's correct. It's going to be heard on Wednesday in Senate Judiciary. Authored by Representative Tim Wesco. I had a companion bill. I had another bill just like it in the House, but we really wanted to make sure the goal was to get this across the finish line. We worked on it 2 years ago. It hadn't gone through the proper process of summer study and being voted out of summer study. So we had to wait until this year to do it. It made it through all those hurdles in front of it. And really it speaks to the need that we have in Elkhart County. So every county, as you have magistrates, judges that work in that county, they look at the need across the state of Indiana. Elkhart County is number 2 in the state of Indiana for need based on additional magistrates. So we take a look at the workload of each magistrate and how many cases that they're taking care of. And while some counties are at 0.5, we're at 1.4. So that means our judges are doing the work of 1.4 judges. They're overworked. And one of the reasons for that is Elkhart County has grown in numbers. We have a lot of people that come into our county every day for the manufacturing. And we've implemented several problem-solving courts. So the veterans problem-solving courts, the drug problem-solving courts, those are important courts that are really making a difference in our community, and we want to make sure we can adequately serve all the people that are being served through the court system. So we're hoping to get this across the finish line this year. I have no reason to believe that it won't make it, but we're going to keep cheering and making sure it happens until we actually have that signed document. So.
We appreciate the update on that. And there are several updates now that we're moving into the middle of the second half, kind of in that dynamic with the sessions calendar. For example, Dave, you have legislation that will expand the pool of available child care options, reducing some regulations around child care services provided through schools and other educational institutions. How does that work?
Well, how it works is you have a friend call you and say, hey, Dave, you ever thought about, right now schools can have child care facilities in their schools. However, by law, only people that work at the school can have their children attend that child care facility. And he said, why don't you just open that up to everybody? So hey, good idea. So we put a little bill together, and that passed the House, and I believe that's passed the Senate now. If it hasn't, it will here shortly. But that's really, really beneficial. And then another thing, then you just, people come to you and say, hey, right now, if I'm a multi-child care facility and I have a number of facilities, we have to have a license for every facility. Dave, why don't we just have one license for all of our facilities, because it's a bunch of paperwork and administrative costs. Cost us a lot of money and a lot of time, a lot of effort to add a new location, so we don't. Well, 62% of our children in the state of Indiana don't have child care, so it's a no-brainer. So you just put those two things together, and it works out pretty well, doesn't it, Joanna?
It does.
There you go.
Get rid of regulations is always a good thing.
When we're talking about getting something over the finish line and some celebratory activity within the judicial system, in the culinary system of food trucks, I understand they're getting ready, potential cheering involved. You have a bill that's going to boost support for food truck vendors.
Yeah, so food trucks, since the pandemic happened, it has become really evident that people are wanting to have different ways of providing their food services to the communities that they live and work in. And one of the things that food truck vendors have had a difficult time with is the changes from county to county in taking their food trucks. And although the state code is the same from every county, your time and temperature and all the food safety is the same, each county kind of had their own rules when it came to food trucks. And this bill is really just seeking to create a portal, a place for the state health department, your local health departments, and the food trucks to all kind of have one place to come to get their license, to be able to set up where they're going to, let the local health departments know, and most importantly, bring together a work group to kind of put all of this together. I've taken a look actually at Allen County, I've taken a look at Marion County. Marion County and Allen County are two of the counties that have the most food truck vendors. And when I looked at Allen County, I realized that they have a pretty robust system, figuring out what kind of food truck you have, what kind of food you serve, Figuring all those details out, and now taking that and really expanding it across the state of Indiana. So instead of getting a certificate to serve in 92 counties, you get one statewide food license, and you're now able to travel from county to county. And it's important to me to hear the voices from the local health departments, and that's what that work group. We're going to have representatives from each congressional district that will make up that work group. But the food truck vendors are so excited because this will make it so much easier for them to be able to serve in all the different 92 counties. It's something that should have happened a long time ago. Other states have done it. I looked at what Georgia did, and it's something I've been working on for 4 years. So when I get this across the finish line, it'll be truly a time to celebrate. I would encourage any food trucks that want to come down and celebrate with us at the State House to do so. We would love to have them down there.
There you go.
Sounds good for us, doesn't it, Bruce?
I'm all in favor. If you serve it, they will come.
That's right.
Well, and the support continues. This piece of legislation in 2025, House Bill 1326, building on legislation from 2023, all around the transition to teaching scholarships. So an effort from 2 years ago to expand, and it is where now at the moment?
Well, 2 years ago, we put enough money in the budget to fund 100 teachers per year. And that is transition to teaching is someone that has a 4-year college degree and they decide that, hey, I'd like to change career paths, I'd like to be a teacher. Mm-hmm. And so what we did, we worked on a bill, and it came to us from Marilyn Hissong out in East Allen County Schools. But what you can do is you can apply, get a scholarship, and then in 10 months you can get a teaching degree from either Purdue Fort Wayne here or Trine. But what happens in government is everything's in a silo. And there were other programs that maybe not being utilized fully. And so there was money left in one silo, and here we didn't have any money for transition to teaching. So what we did is we took money that was unused, and rather returning it to the general fund, we could use that for transition to teaching. So this year, I'm happy to say, we'll have 295 teachers graduate from that program. So that's just good for our schools, but most importantly, good for our students.
Absolutely. What other legislation that you've authored or sponsored this session would you like to comment on that we haven't gotten to at this point?
Well, I think one of the priority bills that I think has been very interesting to talk about, just because of who authored it and what happens with it, is Speaker Todd Houston offered 1008, which is a priority bill, and really is just setting up a commission to study the Illinois counties that voted to secede from the state of Illinois because of their high property taxes, because of their high taxes in general. And they just said, we've got to do something different, and to get the attention of their leadership, and also just to say, this doesn't work, what's happening. So Speaker Houston authored that bill just to set up a commission to take a look at that. And it was interesting to hear the testimony that came through one of the committees I sit on. And we had several groups coming from Illinois saying, please, we need help. So that it's been interesting. I don't know where we'll land on that. I do know that the companion bill in Illinois, the legislator that filed a companion bill in Illinois, that bill is dead. So, probably won't go anywhere. But, it's just mindful to me, and I think to all Hoosiers, let's take a look at what we have here in Indiana. Let's take a look at the things in our community that we're super proud of, and the things that are working well, and keep building on that. Mm-hmm. and be thankful for some of the things that have been really wins here in Indiana. Our state government is run very differently from our federal government. We have a balanced budget. We have to have a balanced budget. We have a surplus. The good thing about a surplus is you then have a AAA bond rating. That means that when schools and municipalities go to borrow money from the bond bank, they borrow it at 2% instead of in Illinois, which is at 9%. All of those things matter in the grand scheme of things. And sometimes we as Hoosiers have, we have Hoosier hospitality for sure, but we sometimes don't realize some of the really great things about living here in Indiana. And I'm super proud of the decisions that have been made in the legislature, and I'm proud of the legislators that have brought bills this session that are really making a difference, and glad for the people that have come downstate and testified on those bills. We love to hear what Hoosiers think and where they're at on the bills that we have. We've got a long way to go still. I know April 24th looks like it's right around the corner, but we still got a lot of bills in flux, so we'll wait and see where those end up.
Yeah. We have the end of the show right around the corner, but you do have the final 30 seconds.
Well, you talked about it when we opened up here that a lot of people were down with Governor Braun on Monday, and there's a little rally on property taxes. It wasn't a little rally, it was a big rally. But I would just encourage everyone that's watching, you need to advocate for the issues that are important to you, because when you come down to the State House and advocate, we listen. That's where we get our ideas.
That's right.
And so I would encourage everyone, you got a voice, use it.
And on that, a great note to go out on. Thank you to our guests this evening, State Representative Dave Heine, Deputy Speaker Pro Tem, and State Representative Joanna King. For all of us with Primetime, I'm Bruce Haines. Thank you for joining us as well, and we'll see you back here again next week. Good night. The preceding program on PBS Fort Wayne was made possible in part by
The Rogers Company has been conducting business in Northeast Indiana since 1944 as Rogers Markets and now as the Rogers Company with commercial property and real estate development. Pleased to support local not-for-profits and PBS Fort Wayne. The Regional Chamber of Northeast Indiana advocates for world-class infrastructure, a competitive business climate, 21st century talent, and rural investment. One region, one voice. NEINadvocates.com. Purdue University Fort Wayne will host Marcus Collins, cultural scholar and professor, Thursday, February 27th at 7:30 as part of the Omnibus Speaker Series, inspiring fresh and diverse thoughts. Details at pfw.edu/omnibus.